Hello, everyone, and welcome to your USC orientation. This is such a huge and a major step for you all. My name is Carla Copeland Joseph, and I will be doing a presentation today for you on adulting. And I know for some of you, you think that right now, this whole experience coming off to university and all of that, this is the beginning of your adulting experience. And of course, it is a major part of becoming an adult. But for a lot of us, we think about becoming an adult as something that is associated with age. But I think that you're all wise enough to know that some persons are aged, but they don't necessarily have good adulting skills or practices or behaviors. So in this presentation, it's going to be pretty simple. And we're just going to look at some different areas, some different facets of what it is to truly be a good adult. And then we're going to look at the mindset of a good adult. I am a psychologist, so of course, we cannot do anything without preparing our minds appropriately for whatever we're going to do. So I'm about to share my screen so that you can follow along and engage with me in this presentation. So we are looking at Adulting 101. So as we said before, what is being an adult? I'm sure you would have heard your parents say, grow up, be an adult. Right? But what exactly is being an adult? So let's look at some different areas. So when we talk about being an adult, we're actually going to use the word to bring out 5 different areas that really shows the mark of a good and a true adult. So we're going to look at accountability, detachment from our egos, understanding, listening, and taking a stand. So when we talk about accountability, this one is pretty big. So of course, we're using the analogy of a sculptor, someone who shapes, who molds, and that sculptor is you. You are the one who is now in charge of your life, of the shape that your life is going to take. So of course, some of us may be coming with, mahogany wood. Some of us might be coming with some chipboard, as we look back on our lives and we look at the material that we are made out of. But at the end of the day, a true adult is able to take accountability of their lives. So if you are reading through this story that is stated there, it's talking about a friend who is telling another friend that, whenever they have a girlfriend, their test scores get low, right? And, this classmate is saying, well, what is the correlation? What's the correlation between you having a girlfriend and your test scores? What's the relationship between having a girlfriend and your test scores? And of course, for that person who was saying this, that whenever they have a girlfriend, they score low, they are not taking accountability for their scores. They are saying that when they have a girlfriend, that their girlfriend is making them score low. When in reality, the real thing that is happening is that the individual does not have the ability to balance the academics and the relationship. And that's fair. So you need to know yourself. So that's why I was saying, some of us might be coming with some chipboard in our own eyes. Some might be coming with some mahogany. But the reality is we need to take accountability for our lives. So trying to blame someone else for your own failures does not depict accountability. And this is important for your university experience, because if you're going to say, because that lecturer was bad, I got a bad grade, how come the student who had the same bad lecturer got an A? So it is all about you taking accountability. So this is a hard lecturer. What do I do to be successful? Because at the end of the day, you are the sculptor of your own life. So A, take accountability. D, detachment from ego. Another really big one. Ego, a small 3-letter word that has the power to destroy a big 12-letter word, relationships. When we get very attached to our ego, it is very detrimental for us as individuals. It is just like holding on to a rose, seeing the beauty, smelling the fragrance, and being scarred and bruised by the thorns that come along with it. So the stronger you hold on to your ego, the deeper the wound will be. We have to know when to let go of our ego. We never catch bees with vinegar. We have to use honey. So at times we have to learn how to be sweet and how to be humble. You don't know something, you get help. You take your time as you interact with others. Yes, you may be bright. Yes, you may even be the best. But know that we are all different. We were all created differently. So you don't have to be all uppity about it. Detached from your ego. That is the sign of a good adult. Let's look at you. You, understanding. In a world of approximately 7 billion people, each of us are unique. Even twins are different. So our upbringing, our behavior, our problems, the way we look, it's all different from somebody else. And of course, we interact with these different people every single day. We need to show understanding. So even now, if we look at what is happening with the whole vaccine hesitation and all of that, we need to show understanding. We need to show understanding whenever someone has a differing opinion. Sometimes it's wise to just be quiet about it. So especially for when you become an adult and you have your own very strong values, very strong positions and what you believe, it is not your role to shove that down anyone else's throat. It is your role to stop and to listen and to share if the opportunity is right. But another extremely important thing as you become an adult, as you strive to be the best version of yourself, is to exercise understanding, because it is necessary to understand and to respect the beliefs of others. You do not know everything. I do not know everything. So then, of course, we must listen. And I'm not even sure this needs me to say something about it. But when you listen to others, their thoughts and their ideas are transmitted directly from themselves to you. And it's important to not just hear. So many of the times we hear what someone is saying, but we don't really listen. And when you listen, this helps to broaden your horizons. So just before we were talking about understanding, in order to understand where a person is coming from, you must first listen. And a key thing about listening is to listen without intending to reply. And there are so many times I have to check myself for that as well, because you're listening, just waiting for the opportunity for them to pause in what they're saying so you can insert something. Mark of a true adult is the ability to stop and listen. Really listen, and not only listen to what they are saying, but to listen to their tone of voice, listen to their body language. So if a person is telling you, yeah, I love you, don't just pay attention to the words, pay attention to their tone of voice, pay attention to their body language. Are they all saying that they love you? Right? So when we are listening, listen effectively with the intention to understand and not necessarily with the intention to reply. This is the need of the world today. So, want to be an effective adult? Listen. Then the last one, which is the T, and again, I am not even sure I need to say anything on this, but T, take a stand. So as we age, we collect data in so many different forms. So our parents would have told us so many things up until this point. Your friend would have told you so many things until this point about your relationship, who to date, who not to date, who not to like, what to do in university, what not to do, where to go when you finish. So much information we get. And of course, we spend a lot of time on social media. So if we're spending a lot of time on social media, you know we are gathering a lot of information. This data should be analyzed, it should be questioned before you make a conclusion. Don't just take information and use it. That is not the mark of an intelligent, sound-minded, strong adult. Your ability to take in information, analyze it, synthesize it, and then use it is an important part of being an adult. So it's time that you stop resorting to spoon feeding and think on your own. So take matters into your own hands, whether it is as small as deciding food items, and I stuck that in there because you know in the dating game, you hear men talking about that a lot, that a woman never knows what she wants to eat. Decide. Take a stand, from as simple as that to a stand on the career that you want to choose. So a career-related decision. Put an end to indecisiveness and start taking a stand for what you truly believe in. So whether it is small or big, take a stand. So these are the things that I think are very, very important in being an adult, in how we should adult, that we should take accountability. We should detach from our egos. You do not know everything. You should make sure that you always exhibit good understanding. And in order to show good understanding, you should make sure to listen. And after you have done all of those things, make sure you put aside indecisiveness and take a stand. And of course, as we were talking before, as we were mentioning before, yeah, these are the 5 things that make us a good adult. But man, how do we get there? How do we prepare mentally? So these are the 4 things that we do as we try to prepare mentally, the mindset of an adult. So an adult mindset is one that says, I am in charge, making decisions. One that says, I can find things out. So I can be resourceful. I can seek out information. One that asks, what does self-responsibility even mean? Being a responsible adult. And of course, a mindset that says there is a way out. So I am able to problem solve. So let's look at the first one. I am in charge, decision making. So for like you guys, whether you're starting college, for some of you all, you might be applying for your first job. Some of you might even be taking on a new managerial role because you're starting university. There will be a lot of things for you to decide. This means that you're not only making decisions, but you have to make them quickly. But you should be making them after you have done your appropriate research. But it also means evaluating the givens. So given that your parents said this, given that your friend said this, given that your co-worker said this. So we were talking about this before, right? All that data that is coming in for us to be able to make a stand. Our character is built of these little decisions. And when we make these little decisions, it eventually affects big decisions. One of the greatest things that we have received from God is our power of choice. So God has given you the power to choose. God has given you the power to make a good, sound decision. So moving toward adulthood is moving toward noticing that you, and not just your surroundings, are making choices all the time. So we talk about accountability. We have good accountability, and we are able to take a stand when we have a mindset that says, me, I am in charge. So of course, we know it will be unrealistic for us to think that we can control everything. We know we cannot control everything. We definitely can't control other people, right? But the things that we can control, we should make sure that we are in charge of it. So there would be things beyond our control, but adulthood should be a time when you can tell the difference between the external power, which is what you cannot control, and your personal agency, which is what you can control. So what type of mindset we should have? First one is that I am in charge. I can make decisions. Our other one is I can find out. Be resourceful. This time that we live in the information is everywhere. So if you are one of the persons who is struggling, let's say with the whole vaccine hesitation, that is not a problem. Make sure that you seek the appropriate resources, not people's word of mouth, but good, sound resources so that you can be in charge, so that you can make your decision. So a lot of people tell me that they don't feel like adults because they're still Googling, but adults don't know everything. And we talked about that, right? So instead, adulthood means being the kind of person who doesn't go it alone. When you're flying without a clue, you have to be able to know, I don't know enough about this, and seek resources. So it's easier to seek resources online, but we have to gather and we have to be critical of the information that we gather. Don't be haphazard in your quest. Don't do it anyhow. When you're getting your information, whether it's online or whether someone is telling you something, make sure that you are diligent in the search for your information. So, as I said before, even when you want, more contextualized, sometimes you might want a simple piece of advice and you're seeking out your friends or your family members, that's another form of resource seeking, but make sure that you are diligent about it. So if you want to know when adulthood begins, which is very important, you can note that all the most effective adults use resources. They don't just depend on themselves. So you have what you need to get started. And if you don't have what you need to get started, then go deep, go wide. Increase your network, get more exposure, do some volunteering, and get the important information that you will need. So we want to make sure when we're thinking about our mindset, we are remembering that I am in control, and of course, I can find out. And then we move on to a mindset that asks, what does responsibility mean? Responsibility is a major mindset of adulthood, and some people don't master it throughout their lives. So when we think about being accountable, we have to have a mindset that shows that we are responsible. So there are definitely odds stacked against us so many times. And I don't only mean victimhood here, and of course some of us are actually victims, but I mean that the odds could be stacked against us sometimes in what we say to ourselves. But we have to choose, because we have to recognize that we are in charge. And you'd hear me talking about choosing and choices, and because that is a huge, huge, huge part of being an adult, the ability to make good decisions. So responsibility is about taking ownership of your story. So we talked about some of us might be mahogany, some of us might be chipboard, some of us might be in between. Take control of your story. Take ownership of that story. Be responsible for your actions and make the changes that you want in your life. Those are the marks of a good adult. So of course, the last element in terms of the mindset for being an excellent adult is problem solving. So it's the mindset that says there is a way out. So even when things are hard, there is a way out. So decision making, responsibility, resource seeking, they all come together to show maturity and accomplishment, all because of problem solving. So when we combine those three things, decision making, responsibility, resource seeking, those combine into the biggest mindset that shows maturity, and that is your ability to problem solve. So maturity is the ability to bring multiple lenses to a bad situation, evaluate them one by one, and sometimes the best thing to do is to wait and see. Sometimes the best thing to do is to stand up and act. And we talked about taking a stance. And sometimes we said the best thing is to wait and see, that detaching from our egos, right? Sometimes wait and see, understand, listen, right? All of those things are skills that come as we problem solve. So sometimes life has really handed you a tough situation. So some of you might be like me. I am so very much a chipboard, you know. So sometimes life has given us tough situations, but we know that with the right type of mindset, no matter what, we can choose to have a positive outlook. So it also gives you the opportunity so that you can bring other people along with you because you don't have to problem solve on your own. Remember, we said a big part of that mindset is being resourceful. Where can I find it? Right? So, resource seeking. So if we seek it out, you don't have to do it alone. You can get your network together to help you to problem solve. And you'd be amazed at how magnetic a calm, flexible problem solving attitude can be. The best managers in a workplace are those who can problem solve because many of us will see the problems, but only few of us would see the solutions. And remember, we were saying decision making, responsibility, and resource seeking all come together in order for us to be good problem solvers. So, in order for us to be great adults, we have to be really, really good at problem solving. So, adulting, you soon will see, is not necessarily what you thought it would be, but we know that if we exercise good accountability, if we detach from our egos, if we exhibit understanding and we listen well, and if we take the stand when it is needed, if we cultivate a mindset that says, I'm going to make good decisions, I'm going to be responsible, I'm going to seek resources, and I'm going to problem solve, your adulting experience will be nothing more than awesome. I wish you all the best as you chart this new course in your life and as you are successful. So, this is all from me, and I wish you the very, very best.